best recommendation in the comment section is gonna win a free t-shirt. They say that heroes last forever, but legends never die. After all, that's why guys like Burt Reynolds and Jerry Reed will forever be remembered as the dynamic duo who ran from Atlanta to Texarkana and back with 400 cases of Coors in just over a day. God, I love that movie. Burt Reynolds, a Trans Am, and of course the star of the show, in my opinion, a long-nosed KW with a wicked cool Western paint job. It just doesn't get any better than that, guys. And much like the old Bandit will always be remembered, there are a few diesel engines out there that just seem to never, ever die, both figuratively and literally here, folks. But perhaps the most notable, most memorable, and dare I say the most legendary diesel engine to ever be produced ever came from the one and only Ford Motor Company. I'm Dustin with the Custom Offsets. You guys can follow me on the Instagram at dusty.co, and today we are sitting down to chat about the old reliable diesel engines, the iconic and the legendary. So you want a 7.3 Powerstroke. Now, regardless which side of the fence you're on, if you're a Dodge, you're a Chevy, or you're even a Ford guy, it's inevitable that you've at least heard of the 7.3 Powerstroke and its iconic nature. You just can't escape it. It's everywhere. But what exactly made this engine so iconic? Why does it have a cult-like following? Because let's face it, 7.3 guys are basically a cult by all definitions. And better yet, what happened to the old 7.3 over the years? Good news here is we're going to get to all of that in just a moment, but before we do, let's have a quick chat about where this legendary engine came from. We got to establish a baseline, if you would. Introduced in 1994, the 7.3 Powerstroke would forever change the diesel world as we knew it. The love child of a beautiful relationship between Navistar International and Ford, Ford took the industry by storm, replacing the otherwise gutless 6.9 and 7.3 liter IDI engines of the past. This new Powerstroke engine offered significantly more reliability, more power, and was overall a huge success for the old blue oval. In terms of power, they really put the numbers down, making a staggering 210 horsepower and 425 pound-feet of torque. While not extravagant by today's standards, where
that's terrible. It's terrible.
Some modern diesels are putting out torque numbers in the 4 digits. At the time, this was quite a bit more than both Cummins and the GM diesels of the era, which each put out sub 200 horsepower apiece. Take that, GM and Dodge. While not nearly as technologically advanced as the diesels of today, the 7.3 Powerstroke was a simple engine, and it just plain worked. It featured a cast iron block and cylinder heads. It had 6 head bolts per cylinder and had 2 valves per cylinder, which is, that's pretty standard back then, right? This simplicity, along with the fact that this engine was actually built to be used in a medium-duty line of trucks under a different name, the T444E, is what helped keep these trucks running for a long time. They were overly built, they were under-tuned, and they were simplistic by design. There's just no denying that the 7.3 ran for a long time. There have been several cases of these engines on the OBS F250 and F350 chassis that have turned over 500,000 miles, and word on the street is that there's actually a few documented cases of these trucks that have turned over 1 million miles with very minimal input. That's a lot of windshield time. Despite being simple in nature at the time of the release, the 7.3s did create a few technological advances that would set the stage for the diesel engines of the 2000s. See, the 7.3 would be the first engine to offer hydraulic electric unit injectors, or HEUI, or Huey, or whatever I'm not even really sure how you're supposed to say it, but either way, these injectors would be electronically controlled but used oil pressure to drive significantly more pressure in the diesel fuel at the injector. This created a better burn and ultimately made more power. In 2003, the 7.3 would also get an air-to-air intercooler because those OBSs are not intercooled, helping keep those intake temps low. Aiding in the reliability of these trucks is that, quite honestly, they just didn't make enough power to tear themselves apart. Because they were built so much heavier than the power they made, they truly didn't make enough horsepower and torque to really push any of the engine internals to, a point where they didn't belong. As we say around here though, it's not always rainbows and unicorns when we look at an engine, and this is the case for the 7.3 Powerstroke. Now, while sure, the 7.3 is a pretty reliable engine, there are still a few known issues with them. For example, while the new HEUI injection system provided more power, it also did require an H-pop or high pressure oil pump, right? You have to build the pressure to, make the injector go psh. On that pump is an injection pressure regulator, or IPR for short. These IPRs can go bad, they can get sticky, and they can leak down if the seals start to wear out. Along the same lines is the cam position sensor, or CMP for short, because that makes sense. It just tends to wear out with the age of the truck. Outside of that though, most of the common engine problems that we've heard of with the 7.3 are mostly just maintenance related, honestly. Things like connectors on harnesses failing, clogging fuel filters, and other pesky maintenance issues can be expected with these trucks. I mean, after all, we are talking about a diesel that's older than Biggs here, and I think actually older than Jared too. Before we go any further, just a quick reminder that we actually carry some performance parts, so if you have a 7.3 Powerstroke, or really any other truck for that matter, and you want a few extra horsepower, we can help. You can check all that out at customoffsets.com. So where did this legendary engine go? Why would Ford discontinue such an iconic power plant? One word: emissions. While the 7.3 was a great diesel engine, it did leave much to be desired when it came to fuel efficiency and overall emissions performance. The fixed vane turbo on the 7.3 meant that it didn't spool until you were well into the RPM band, and while it did roll a fair bit of coal if that's what you're into, it definitely didn't do these trucks any favors in terms of overall emissions output. Ford, seeing all of the new emissions regulations on the horizon, knew that the old Yeller 7.3, it wasn't going to cut the cake when it came time to clean up our diesel engines, replacing the 7.3 with the ever controversial 6-liter Powerstroke in 2003, and well, we all know how that went. We actually did a video on the 6-liter, by the way, which you can find here, or yeah, it's here, I think. Maybe it's here. I'm not really sure. With all that being said though, why would you want a 27-year-old diesel engine here in 2022? Despite the fact that it's getting extremely difficult to find clean examples of these trucks, there is something extremely nostalgic about them. I mean, most guys and gals my age have at least one or two good stories about how their dad or uncle or grandpa or neighbor or mentor or friend or second cousin's best friend or something like that had one of these when you were growing up, and you mobbed around the county lines with it. Additionally, despite the fact that many of these trucks have their fair share of miles on them, making decent power in them is relatively easy, and they still remain, for the most part, relatively reliable. These trucks just kind of do it all. They look good, they last forever, and they'll pull a damn house if you hook it up behind them. Just, don't expect to skip any fuel stops, as they definitely aren't the most fuel efficient engines out there. Ask Jared. I think, when we towed down to Lift a Truck Nationals, he got like 7 miles to the gallon with the Bronco behind him. Still, how wicked does that dually look with the Bronco on the back? I mean, it just looks so good. Enough out of me. What do you guys think? Would you own a 7.3 Powerstroke? Let us know down in the comments section below. And if you guys have an episode that you want to see of So You Want, let us know down there as well. Best recommendation in the comment section is going to win a free t-shirt. With that, I'm Dustin with Custom Offsets. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.